Hey everyone, Joe here from ActionX. Welcome to What's on the Tube, or welcome back. If this is your fourth DC Stargirl Season 2 episode review, I am very, well, personally, for me, I feel a little weird. Like, I feel a little exhausted. I don't know why. It's been a long day. I woke up at 6. I worked until 5. Just been one thing after another, and here we are, another episode of Stargirl. Where initially I thought that this was going to be going into this, well, watching most of this episode, I thought, okay, this was a fine kind of filler episode. That kind of was the film of it. Like, we got a little bit of like certain, like, minusculely for me up to a certain point advanced the plot, and then the ending was like, oh no, this was a very important chapter. I'll tell you that much. And that's the thing that I keep loving about these shows that I'm reviewing, is that sometimes I just completely forgot that these shows constantly surprise me. And even though this kind of felt like a filler episode, it kind of felt like a one-off, this definitely does service towards the larger story, the larger endgame that we're still figuring things out and figuring out pieces of. And I think that's making this season stand out so much better, because yeah, even though technically it's not VFX heavy as like at this point when the first season was, because you could say like at the CW reduced the budget, it's not common for that to happen, but they're making it work somehow. They're making it work. I'm very happy by that. And let's just talk about it, man. Let's just get through it. So let's go for the butcher recap and talk about this week's episode of Stargirl. So we begin with a little bit of a sad tearjerker. Not really a tearjerker, more like a kind of like a emotional moment. This episode kind of focuses on a lot of things, but the more crutch focus was on Artemis Croc, who we got introduced to briefly last season. This definitely felt like her episode. Since she's been on this new chapter of her life, because her parents are now both incarcerated, she's living with, like, I think a foster parent. This definitely does not look like an aunt or uncle. I mean, maybe it is, and I didn't really pay attention to it that much. She's not really living the life she was living before everything happened with season 1. She's definitely not living that life. She's visiting her parents in jail, hoping that they'll get out eventually. But the parents are very well aware of the situation, that they're probably not going to get out, so they're going to probably just stay there from the sideline while their daughter grows up without them. And it does suck. It does really much suck, because yeah, they're villains, but at the end of the day, that's their daughter, and she had a right to grow up with them and see what she's going to do, for them to see what she's going to do. And it does suck in that moment. Speaking of other parental problems, Beth is trying to repair her parents' strained marriage, but even when she tried to like organize a date night for them, it doesn't really work out well enough. It seems like her mom's not really even bothering trying to reconcile with the dad. So whatever they're going through must be pretty damn serious, if that's not even gonna work. But meanwhile, where else do we go? I know it's only the beginning of the episode, but like they just did so much this week. They really did. Like, everything in this episode felt like it could have been its own thing. And I think the next point of conversation that I do remember us getting to was it was Pat and Barbara talking about just Eclipso and the severity of the situation. Turns out Pat did fill in Barbara about everything about Eclipso and his history with the JSA, including some very troubling facts that if Courtney was to find out, it would be very traumatic for her and the rest of the team. And Courtney overhears some of it, but she's like wondering what's going on. Why are you mentioning Eclipso? And yeah, they're both realizing both sides are realizing that Eclipso is in Blue Valley. We don't know who has him or where he is, but he's here. And they need to find a more strategical way to handle him, because apparently Eclipso is the strongest villain that the JSA has ever fought so far. And if the Shade kind of kicked all of their asses without even lifting a finger, the Eclipso is going to be a challenge. Let's just say it's going to be a challenge. So they're very much up against the creek here. But Courtney's more like, let's do some research on him. Maybe we can find some weaknesses. What can we find out about this guy? So she heads off to go. Well, first she goes up to summer school, which I keep forgetting is a thing. Even though technically the whole season of Stargirl is called summer school, and I'm just thinking to myself, damn, I completely forgot about that. It just stands out like a sore thumb. Like, I know technically you can call this like a graphic novel, kind of like what Flash is doing, but it kind of just felt a little weird. Also, I'm checking the mic levels, making sure everything's fine. We head up to the school where it's already the football trial during the summer. I mean, I never play, and from what I remember from high school, I think football trials were like 2 weeks before school started, I believe, so that the team has time, so that the team can have time to rest, train during the summer, get ready for that. But it's not even like a few weeks after school was out and they're already thinking about the next season. I mean, can you let these kids have a break? I know it's a small town, so they got really nothing else to do, but come on, give them a little break or something. So Artemis is there. She's not happy with her new life. Her new guardian does not give a damn about her dietary needs or just like what she really needs to kind of like be the best she can for this performance. She even's complaining with the school lunch lady, which I'm just kidding. I just want to say, I'm actually surprised they actually even have cafeteria food during summer. I would assume that they would just take the summer off. Then again, I'm aware that, yeah, they need money, so I'm not surprised that they're still in business, but like, damn, I just feel so sorry for them. Courtney tries to make amends with Artemis, but while it kind of for a while works when Courtney mentions her parents' incarceration, it doesn't really work out so well, so that doesn't really bode well for Courtney's trying to make Artemis a friend. It's not really working out whatsoever. Meanwhile, little old Mikey is off still delivering newspaper. Still no, we're not dealing with the Thunderbolt thing from last week. We're taking a break from that. This is also Mikey's 1 out of 2 only scenes of the episode. He reads one of the newspapers he's supposed to deliver, and apparently Sportsmaster and Tigress have escaped prison. And where would they go next? So, yes, they're hitting up old Mikey boy to hold him hostage so that Pat can come for them. But however, it's not a life or death situation. It's not like, oh, this is like 2 ISA versus JSA rematch. This isn't it. They're just back. They just broke out of prison just to see Artemis perform in the football trial. That's basically it. Once that's over and she gets in, they're gonna go back to prison. Which I'm like, okay. I mean, that's a. It's so weird when they try to make villains relatable. It's a little bit weird because they're the bad guys. They probably kill people and they broke out of prison only to see their daughter perform for a day and then they're gonna go back to prison. Okay. Whatever they decide to do. Pat has no choice. He brings them back to the house. It's a very awkward father-father, mother-to-mother interaction where the fathers are just like catching up on current events, and obviously Pat's using this opportunity to kind of get some updates like, where's the gambler? Where's the other guy? The people that had managed to escape after the battle last year. Sportmaster's like, you know what? We never fit in the ISA, so if they were going to regroup or do something else, we would not be part of the new team. We were there only for Icicle's purposes, but now that he's gone and also Brainwave's gone, we really have no real purpose to continue. So honestly, that does make a little bit of sense. Sportsmaster and Tigress kind of stood out like a sore thumb. Like, you have super villains and then you have enhanced super villains. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. It really didn't, for me at least. So continuing from that scene onward, onto the mothers. Barbara's trying to be a nice housewife and trying to be open and inviting to the other, but she's very much not willing for it. They eventually get to a little bit of an agreement, but eventually it took a little bit of a while. There's definitely 2 different mothers, parroting styles, as well as the mother of a superhero and the mother of a future supervillain is going to do that much for you. Also another throwaway fact to throw in, that testing that Rick was accused of back in the beginning of the season, he just gets it out of the way. He just takes it again just to prove his point. He passes it, and yeah, this is Rick turning a new leaf. He's actually focusing on his studies. He has friends, and he has his focus on things. So that was smart. They later group up at the, I want to say it's the diner, but it kind of looks like a different diner. I want to say they're at somewhere. Yolanda's working there now because on top of her parents even not like, I'm still serious. Like, my parents have never been that discouraged of me before, but I'm like, you're going to let one nude photo basically destroy your entire relationship with your daughter? That's the point, like, you forced her into summer school despite her having the best grades in the school, as well as kind of like forcing her to get a job. I mean, Jesus. I'm actually kind of scared when she does leave Blue Valley. How is that going to work out for them? So they're just thinking about we're getting a little bit of a lowdown of what they've been up to for Eclipso. Apparently there's an island called Diablo Island or Devil Island. So I'm just thinking to myself, oh great, an island called the Devil. I wonder what that island must be like. That's where the Black Crystal was formed many centuries ago. And even after the 1830s, the island was completely wiped off any recent map, but it wasn't the old map, so something must have happened there. And there was one lone survivor that managed to escape the island, but no one knows where he is right now or what happened to him. So they really got no bets there. Anyway, they decided to explore off into their own ventures. You know, Courtney just said, well, once Yolanda's done with her shift, we'll meet back up and kind of resume our Eclipso hub. They really don't do much for that. Rick's still doing the whole, like, I'm feeding Solomon Grundy is about to, like, order 8 portions of fried chicken and french fries. How do you have the money, man? I know it's a small town, so I don't think it's that expensive, but you're going through hundreds of dollars every day. There's absolutely no way you have the funds for this. Unless there was some sort of secret fund that the original Hour Man left for him, unless that is, but I highly doubt that's the case. Courtney decides to hit up an old library, an old records keeper, something similar to Nancy Drew's historic house. That if you watch my Nancy Drew series, there's a historic house where conveniently everything of a Horseshoe Bay was at. So Stargirl has her own version of it, and she's off to search for anything pertaining to Diablo Island. And coincidentally, the Shade is there. They have this little banter. Shade is just telling her, look, I'm not a threat to you. I'm just here to get Eclipso, throw him in the ocean, and make sure he never kills anyone again. As well as, I'm kind of bored. I've been basically bored for decades now. I kind of want to do something. Things have been getting interesting, which I'm like, fine for it. I agree with you on that. But even though Courtney has this dead set of like, you're evil, you kill Dr. Midnight, and you're just nothing but trouble, so we have to stop you. Shade basically just corrects her because we got the hint of that last week. Well, I think it was last week. How do you know Dr. Midnight's dead? How do you know? And also dropping another random fact, Dr. Midnight had a daughter. I think her name was Rebecca. I think that was the name. I don't exactly remember. And Eclipso killed her as a kid. So that basically just destroyed Dr. Midnight. And I'm assuming just a personal vendetta against him for doing that. Now, the question to point out for that is, did the Shade kill Dr. Midnight? We don't know. He's still keeping that very vague. But all he tells Gordon is like, stay out of my way. It'll all be fine. I'll get Eclipso, and I will leave Blue Valley forever, and you'll never have to fight me again. And I wish all supervillains would be like that, but that's never the case, to be honest with you. So he vanishes. I believe, so I think the next big scene. Oh yeah, I forgot Cindy's also in this episode. She's kind of like doing her own finally recruiting her new ISA. Even I forgot this. One of the opening scenes is that her and Eclipso stumble into the old ISA headquarters, which are now in ruins after the last battle. And she kind of has this vision for a new painting, which includes her, Pied Piper's son, the lonely kid with the long hair, Artemis, Icicle's son, as well as, of course, obviously, Pat's son, Mikey. But how is she going to assemble her new ISA? Well, she already got the first one. Literally, the guy was literally eating a sandwich in the middle of the cafeteria alone. She shows up, she invites him down there, and boom, he's in. Honestly, the quickest supervillain recruiting story ever. I think more faster than the time the Muppets tried to recruit. What was the dog's name? The dog Muppet? I forgot his name. In the Muppets movie from 2011. I forgot his name. I think it was Rowlett or something. I don't remember. It was kind of faster than that. And her second choice is, of course, Artemis, because her focus is on this week, and she's at the football trials. Everything's ready to go. Pat's fulfilling his end of the bargain and escorting Sportsmaster and Tigress are out there, and they're in very, very horrible disguises. I mean, anyone can notice. Hey, is that the guys who are supposed to be in prison? Why are they there? Why are they there? And also the loud yelling and cheering is not helping at all. But Artemis manages to perform. But Cindy watches everything, and she knows that she has to find a way to bring Artemis over to her side. So she needs to incite something. And she sees Courtney coming first, and Courtney went home after visiting that historic society building, and Barbara just tells her, Pat's kind of being held against his will to escort 2 villains to a football trials. So when Courtney's in view, Cindy uses Eclipso's power to trick Artemis into thinking that the SWAT is around them, ready to kill her parents. So she enacts in rage and beats up the SWAT agents, but in reality, they're just really Courtney, and I'm pretty sure some other random student. The football players manage to pull her away while she eventually comes back to reality, and she's shocked, like, what happened? What's going on? Like, and she's just all sorts of confused, to be honest with you. Afterwards, Artemis talks to her parents. The parents tell her the whole truth that, yeah, we're supervillains, and we deserve to be in jail. So we just wanted to come out here to just support you for the last time. That from now on, what you're going to do in your life, you're going to do great at, but we're not going to be there to stop you anymore. We're going to let you do your own thing. And it's kind of heartbreaking since, like, yeah, that is her parents, and this kind of felt like the goodbye, and I'm like, oh, I wish this was a goodbye. Then again, a couple of days ago, you announced that these two were going to be series regulars in season 3, so this isn't goodbye. That was poor timing. You really don't announce casting choices for your next season when your current season is airing. You're just going to spoil yourself. They'll be back. They'll definitely be back. This might be their only appearance in season 2 or whatever. Courtney confronts Pat about the whole Dr. Midnight's daughter fact, and yeah, he admits, yeah, that's true. My point was never to tell you about that, but there's nothing else to tell you about Eclipso, so let's just go make sure these two bozos head back to jail, and then we can just go back home. Which they do so. I believe the other thing of note is... yeah, not just quite yet, so... I believe, yeah, so we head back to the house. Barbara and Pat also debate about telling Courtney about the whole thing about Eclipso and his history with the JSA, but Pat's like, no, we're gonna question, she's gonna question everything she's been doing for the JSA, even the new team, so it's better they just stay on the quiet for now. They just don't say anything. However, Courtney is the opposite. She suits up, she's gonna go find the Shade and talk to him and figure out more about Eclipso, because it seems like if Pat's not gonna tell him anything, then the Shade's gonna. And I'm just thinking to myself, you're a freaking fool, Courtney, but you're brave, so you go do that. Meanwhile, back at Beth's house, she's trying to tinker with the Dr. Midnight goggles again. No luck on it, but the kind of regular voice of Midnight appears in, and she thinks that this is Chuck coming back. But apparently, based on their conversation, this is the real Dr. Midnight, and he never died. He's in the Shadow Realm, or the Shadow Zone, or whatever whatever DC calls their shadow thinking. I'll ask George about it after I'm done with this episode. And then we see a shot of him just wandering the Shadow Realm, trying to communicate back with Beth, but in reality, he's just stuck there. And I'm just thinking to myself, this is going to be a very interesting storyline they're going to progress with when we eventually do come back. And also, I forgot to tell you, Artemis, after saying goodbye to her folks, she gets a call from the recruiter saying that she doesn't want anything to do with... Why'd I heard a chicken? Anyway. The recruiter wants nothing to do, the school wants nothing to do with Artemis because of her temper. Artemis gets mad about everything. Cindy shows up, and yes, she's there to recruit Artemis, and presumably successfully does, meaning that she has 3 of her 5 new ISA members. So all she needs is somehow Icicle Sun and also Mikey. How will that turn out? We'll find out later on, because that was it for this week's episode of Stargirl. So, for me, being surprised that this turned out to be, I thought this was going to be another fill episode. Okay, let's bring back Sportsmaster and Tigress for a fun episode. Just have them banter a little bit. They don't really matter to the storyline. Just a fun way to fill up some time before we get back to the Eclipso or the Shade stuff or the new ISA stuff. But in reality, no, this definitely helped service where Artemis's headspace is at, because I think the thing that a lot of superhero stories are beginning to kind of accept that this is a major part of the story of the overall the theme of everything is the villains. I think the benefit that TV shows have over movies is that you can spend time focusing on a villain. Then in reality, for a movie, you only have time to spend time with the hero. I mean, in recent years, the only movies I can think of that has had a focus on the villain while also at the same time focusing on the heroes is Infinity War, from Avengers. That's the only one, because we learned a lot about Thanos in one movie, and that was only a 2.5 hour picture. So it is definitely possible, and so we know what Cindy's headspace is at, and Pied Piper's Jr. is kind of just a throwaway villain. He's just he's depressed, he's gloomy, his mom's dead, the end. I know that sounds horrible to say, but that really is what they're picturing him as. He's just a loner at this point. And for Artemis, we have a very good set for her direction, because Artemis parents said, you're going to do this in your life. And then the school's no, you're not going to do that. So where does she go from here? And she's kind of in this need of a new family, similar to what Courtney did with the other 3. So that was, I think, the right decision to do instead. The only thing I will be a little critical on is like I was praising the fact they were kind of going slow this season to have like a much more heated ending like point when we get to the second half as such, because there's still so many more big surprises to come. So I felt like this episode was going to be like that, and I don't think you really need to put the Shade stuff in there. I think it would have been more ominous for Shade to like just kind of take a week off and, like, yeah, Shade kicked their asses. Now he's going to rest and recuperate. Eclipso had the right amount of teas in here. We just got the one crystal scene and that was it. This definitely would have just worked better as just like focusing on Artemis, focusing on just where everyone's stake is at right now in this time period of the story. Yeah, even though it is very early on, but so far they're just not getting any W's. Like they're just not. So everything's not going right for them, but either way, I still think the Shade scene was pretty cool. I think he's a very worthwhile addition to the cast as a new villain. I'm liking him already. Like, he's not so sounding of a generic villain. He has his own like flair to it, which I'm like, I'll give him that. I'll definitely give him that. But overall, yeah, I really did enjoy this episode of Stargirl. I still think it's not the best episode so far. I think definitely it is kind of in the lower tier, but it's still an entertaining episode. It still keeps the plot going a little bit slower than this time normally. But at the end of the day, it's going to pay off, obviously, in the end. When we get to the end of Season 2, we'll see it all pay off somehow. But I'm going to give this episode, my mic's about to drop, 1 3/4 thumbs up, if that even makes sense. So I think that's going to do it for me today, everyone. So if you're unaware, this has been What's in the Tube from ActionX, reviewing every episode in the second season of DC Stargirl. If you want to know what we're doing overall on Stargirl besides... what we're doing overall on What's in the Tube besides our Stargirl reviews, we're currently doing Heels episode reviews each and every Monday morning after a brand new episode on Sunday nights on Stars. Normally we would have another show on our lineup right now besides Stargirl, but we're currently waiting a little bit for that to come out. So this Thursday or Friday, depending on how things go for me, tomorrow or Thursday, we will be doing a Monsters at Work Season 1 review. No spoilers. So if you have not yet checked out the first season, hopefully a minute to come, of the Monsters Inc. University spinoff, this will be the review for you. It's been a fun ride so far. Can't wait to see what the finale holds tomorrow for me as I watch it. So check them out there. But again, if you're unaware, this has been What's in the Tube from ActionX. Please subscribe to ActionX on youtube.com/ActionX videos. Like, favorite, share this review if you want to, but it helps us get out there to other members of the Stargirls out there. Helps us beat up that YouTube algorithm that hates me ever so much, and as well as sharing is for free here on the internet. Ring that bell for notification when our next Stargirl review is live, which is normally each and every Wednesday morning, and follow us on social media to stay up to date with any sort of updates for the channel. But for until next time, you Stargirls, I will see you all by then. And I really butchered my ending, but my brain is not working. So until then, stay safe out there, be good to each other, and as always, peace out.